Good morning, everyone. Glad you braved this nasty weather to come in and share our time together. My name is Brent Decker, music director, pianist, and we've got John Moody on drum. Oh my gosh, said it wrong. John Moody on bass, as usual. That'd be really cool seeing him on drums, actually. I'd like to see that. Let's do that. Let's do that one of these days. Maybe just switch it up, right? And then, Jen, I do this every time. What's your last name? Toen. Jen Toen. Back on drums. This is what, your fourth time? Third time playing drums. We just love having her on part of the team. So we're going to invite Paul Markey up to do our song leading this morning. Our two songs, to start with, are My Soul Is Welcome Here and We've Come This Far by Faith. If you could stand and sing and join us, that'd be great. Thanks.
Right time, I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. And clear, my soul is welcome here. 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 God's amazing grace, let us fix our eyes on Spirit and boldly run the race, for we've come this far by faith. Now faith is being sure of what we hope for, and faith is being certain when we do not see. For if we knew the future, we could not take it in. With every step of faith we take, God gives us just what we need. We've come this far by faith, empowered by the Spirit and God's amazing grace. Let us fix our eyes on Spirit and boldly run the race, for we've come this far by faith. Saints of old stepped out in faith and trusted God, even when they could not see the prize. They were merely strangers just passing through the land, looking for a city far beyond the skies. Come this far by faith, empowered by Spirit and God's amazing grace. Let us fix our eyes on Spirit and boldly run the race. For we've come this far, yes, we've come this far, yes, we've come this far by faith.
Well, good morning. My name is Barbara Galati. I am your platform person today, and I'd like to thank you to all those helping today, streaming, sound, PowerPoint, ushers, hospitality, script, and of course, our wonderful music team. You all make this service possible. Now would be a good time to make sure your phones are silenced if you haven't done so already. For those of you here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We would love to have you fill out an information card that you will find in the pew pocket. And after service, return it to an usher as you leave. They have a small gift for you. Our announcements for today. Again, special thanks to Michelle and Joe Viverman for doing turkey last Sunday, and they also provided the sides. Our underwear drive is going on now, so please remember to bring in new underwear and gloves, socks, etc., and put them in the box in the hallway. This collection is for the Ministry with Community. Let's fill the box this year. Next Sunday would be the last Sunday to donate. And next Sunday afternoon, Carolyn Keeble and Beth Patterson will be putting on a concert at 4 p.m. here at Unity. We'll need to confirm that with Carolyn.
No, that is true.
It is true. Okay. It is true. Yay. Now, everyone, including those at home, please join me in our mission statement. As an all-inclusive community, we awaken to spirit, grow into our soul, and build a better world. And our vision statement? We celebrate a world of ever-awakening consciousness, abundance, peace, and love for all. And our core values? Love, authenticity, stewardship, oneness, and playfulness. And today we have Reverend G with us. Yay! Her talk today is entitled Change. Thank you for being here. Now we would like Paul to come forward and lead us in lighting our first candle for Advent, followed by singing a favorite written by our very own Janice Lakers, Faith, Peace, Love, and Joy.
I will do my best impersonation of Paul. And is it working? I'm going to light the candle.
Oh, okay.
All right. We are entering a time of year where the earth grows colder, the animals begin to hibernate, and the days become continually shorter. This morning marks the beginning of the season of Advent. In the Christian tradition, Advent is the beginning of the church year, recognizing the transforming power of God in the world and looking forward toward the birth of Jesus and the celebration of spiritual light. And Christianity is not alone in celebrating light at this time of year. Hanukkah, solstice, and Kwanzaa all involve candles, fire, and lights as part of their celebrations. Each week, until Christmas, we light a new candle and the Advent wreath, a circle of evergreens along with each of the preceding candles. The flame of each new candle reminds us that something is happening now, but something more is still to come. The light of Advent grows brighter and brighter, guiding us toward personal peace, shared joy, and more love. This morning, we light the first candle. We light this candle as a symbol of hope and expectation. May we dare to open the shadowy places in our lives and memories to the healing light of community. With the creative power of hope, we express our longing for peace and prepare our hearts to be transformed.
Every day, peace I live you as my way. Love in my heart, Spirit, love in my heart. Love in my heart, Spirit, love in my heart. Love without fail, love as an art. Love, I live you with my heart. Joy is my bliss, Spirit, joy is my bliss. Joy is my bliss, Spirit, joy is my bliss. Joy as delight, joy as a kiss. Joy, I live you as my bliss. Faith, I live you as my ground. Peace, I live you as my way. Love, I live you with my heart.
Hope and faith, hope and faith. Hope dawns within me and leads me to deepen in faith. As Advent season begins, I say no to pessimistic or hopeless notions that may have crept into my thinking, dimming my hope and weighing on my mind and heart. Today I say yes to goodness and positivity. I feel a sense of renewed hope dawning within me, a promise that something wonderful is on its way. In these moments, I feel my faith reborn. I reaffirm my belief that no earthly condition, no worldly circumstance is greater than spirit. This is where I place my faith in the power, presence, love, and grace of God. As I call upon these divine attributes within myself, I perceive them more readily in others. I grow in faith that together we have the power to create the world of our highest imaginings. And the scripture is from Romans 15, verse 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. And now, I invite you to close your eyes as we enter this time of meditation. Find a comfortable position in your seat. If it's yours to do, please uncross your legs, uncross your arms, and just gently lay your hands either on your lap or next to your legs. And take a deep breath. And as you exhale, relax. Take another deep breath. And as you exhale, relax even more. Take another deep breath. And as you exhale, relax completely. And just notice your breath. Follow your breath in and out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Allow yourself in this moment to be without expectations. No expectations of having thoughts. No expectations of having no thoughts. Just be. No agenda. No worries. In this present moment, you couldn't possibly need more oxygen. Your body couldn't possibly need more support. You have all that you need. In this moment, nothing troubles you. This is the present moment. No worries, no anxiety, no expectations, only bliss. Notice, though, your thoughts. Identify them. What are they about? Who are they about? Is it about him? Is it about her? Is it about an unfinished conversation? Notice your thoughts. Identify them. Thank them for sharing their life with you, for everything has a right to its life. And then allow them to return to where they came from. And so we give thanks that at any moment in time, we can decide to ground ourselves in the present moment. The present moment which has no worries, no fears, no anxiety, only complete awareness and bliss. And for that, together we say, thank you, thank you, thank you.
This song was requested by G for this Sunday, and I found her really like it. It's called Let the Change Begin. We cannot change the world we see. Till change begins with you and me. We change the world around us when the change begins within. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. Cannot change the world we see till change begins in you and me. We cannot change the change within. So let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. Let the change begin. Let the change begin and let it within. The lesson learned from a willow tree is strength and flexibility. And nothing seems to go my way. It's times when they learn to sway. So let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. Patiently, courageously, be the change you wish to see. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin within. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. Let the change begin. The change begin within.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you learning that song. Oops, wrong. Wrong people. So today, I will talk about change. And I will come to it in a very roundabout way. And it's a very roundabout way because that's how my brain works. So have faith that we will get to it, okay? First, I'm going to read a poem by Khalil Gibran. The title is Fear. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled, from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages, and in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter, there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. I wrote this down because I can never remember her name. Muriel Rockheiser, and I hope I didn't massacre her name. But I earned the right because my original name is Gyeonggi, and it's been massacred so many times in this country, which is why I changed it to G, so if I massacre somebody else's, what comes around goes around. So she said, the universe isn't made of atoms, it's made of stories. The universe isn't made of atoms, it's made of stories. And it's true. And hopefully, I will be able to help you understand what that means. So, stories are the ones that make up our universe. Our families have stories. We individually have stories about ourselves, have stories about our failures, of our overcomings. We create all these stories. Now, the stories that make up the universe, do they have to be true? And do they have to be good? And that's a good question. And it's an important question. So let's examine it. Let's look at a couple of stories that have been with humanity for thousands of years. And stories that have shaped large segments, large parts of our world, okay? So, do stories have to be true? And do they have to be good to live on? And for us to remember them, live by them, believe in them. So, let's look at the Bible. And let's look at the very, very beginning, okay? First page. God created the universe, right? And on that very first page, the writer speaks of a flat earth. Well, that is objectively untrue, right? Our earth is not flat. We know that. We've been to space. We've seen it. It's a sphere. It's a globe, right? So has that story been with us? Has that been a very significant story in the human psyche? And it's objectively untrue. Okay. Does it have to be a good story to shape the life of humanity? And I dare say all sentient beings and all life. Does it have to be a good story? Well, let's go back to the same creation story. And in it says, God creates man and woman and then gives them the earth and tells them, do you remember what it tells them? Go and subdue the earth. It's yours. Do as you wish with it. And that has proved to be a terrible story. there were no checks and balances in that charge. And so we've subdued it so badly. We've caused so much pain, suffering, and extinction. There are species who have gone extinct completely. Because, based on this story, we believed that we are not of this earth, but we're on this earth, but not of this earth. So if we don't belong to it, we get to do however we wish to do with it. And then we believed that our true reward is in heaven somewhere above, after we die. So it doesn't really matter what we do here, what kind of harm we cause, because our true reward anyway, it's there in heaven. So it's not a good story. It's a terrible story with terrible consequences. And we're paying the price. And that price, that's really building every day. So now we know that a story that lives on, that shapes the consciousness of humanity, doesn't even have to be true or good. What is wrong with us people? Why are we willing to sign up and believe in stuff that is neither good nor true? So you probably wonder, why is that possible? I did too. And I found in an Oxford publication that some scientists decided to examine a Pentecostal congregation. They had a very charismatic speaker, and the congregants were very engaged throughout the service. And hands are up, and they're also very vocal and just very, very engaged. So what they did this functional MRI on the brains of the congregants. And they expected that the brain would just fire. Different parts of the brain would fire, and it would show all the engagement. And what they found was rather shocking. They found that the frontal cortex, this is our analytical brain, it completely shut off. All of them. There was no exception to the rule. And I thought, oh my God. So we are willing to come together in large groups and large numbers and listen to someone without ever engaging our analytical thinking. Well, that explains Hitler, right? How he could, being a very charismatic, animated speaker, he could the crowd would just go with him. That explains the cult leaders. That explains why we would drink the Kool-Aid. And that explains why in the not so near past, in this country, something similar did happen. And, in fact, to some degree, it's still happening. Because we get swept up and we don't realize that we're being swept up. Our analytical frontal cortex shuts off. And that's why a story that we live by hasn't got to be either true or good, because we are hardwired to turn off our analytical thinking. Wow. So, if you're ever in a group and you're listening to a charismatic speaker and you're noticing that you're really starting to get into it, pull back, step back, give yourself some space, give yourself some time, and allow yourself for the analytical brain to kick in. Give yourself a fighting chance. Because we can do strange things when we're swept up in large groups. Stories. The universe is made of stories, not atoms. It's very interesting how powerful these stories are. And let me tell you what it's like to live in a story and what it's like to live in an objective world, okay? And so I will compare us to the chimpanzees. And the reason I'm doing that, because we are about 99.9% genetical match with the chimpanzee. So about 0.1% is responsible for Mona Lisa, Shakespeare, for them playing music, for this church, the cars, the Industrial Revolution, going to the moon, that 0.1%. So the chimpanzee lives in an objective world. How so? It's like this. The chimpanzee relationships with nature, there's trees, there's ground, there's rain, there's hot, there's cold, there's hunger, there's food. And that's it. No story about it. If I come to a chimpanzee who has a banana and I tell him, look, I will give you this $1. Give me your banana. What will the chimpanzee say? I'm just going to go ahead, thank you very much, and eat my banana. You keep that piece of whatever it is. That's living in an objective world. The chimpanzee has no stories about money. The chimpanzee has no story about value. The chimpanzee knows the difference between banana and no banana, hunger and no hunger. And then the chimpanzee also is like this. If the chimpanzee is hungry, it has one problem. If it eats, it has no problems. Human being, hungry, it has one problem. It eats, it has a million problems. So that is the difference between living in an objective world and then us humans, we live in a make-believe world, because that's a huge difference between chimpanzees and us, that 0.1%. And that 0.1% allows us to come together and say, let's unite. We all share values and principles here. Let's call ourselves unity. We are a community now. And we do things together. And then we sacrifice for this community. We will give our money to make sure that this community lives on. We will give of our time. We will volunteer. We will sacrifice many, many things for this community to exist. Yes, we do that. We create a story that this is a good thing. And then we buy into it, and then it becomes our belief system, and then if it's your belief system, that's your religion. If it's your religion, what do? You practice it. So, same way, we also create nations, right? Now, you know that a nation is a make-believe, because if you dissect a human being, you go and you look at the human genome, right? Where is the nation in it? Where do you find nation? Absolutely nowhere, because it's a story. So then we say, okay, now we're a nation, and we can collaborate as a nation. And then if we're Americans, we're this kind of nation. If you are Hungarians, you're that kind of nation. If you're Germans, that's your kind of nation. And then we create a story. And then that story, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but we band together. And nations are a very new, fairly recent part of our lives. For the longest time, humans lived in small little tribes where, few dozen lived together, everybody knew everybody, and they could collaborate together. But then they decided there are certain things that they can't do in such small numbers, like completely reroute a river. That's just few dozen people, that's hard. So let's band together, let's come together. That way our agriculture can be better, we can produce more food if we come together and so on. And that's how nations happened. And it's very interesting too that we as nations create stories, but we can also recreate them. Like look at Germany in the past century. In 100 years, they had 5 different stories. There was the Third Reich, the Weimar Republic, Nazi Germany. Then after that, West Germany, the capitalist Germany, East Germany, right? And then the 5th one, when they all came together, again, as one united Germany. So in 100 years, they went from a people to an extremely violent people who murdered Jews and by the millions and other people as well. And today, how do we think of Germans? We think as peacemakers. We think of them as civilized, wonderful human beings. We wish to go visit their country. In the last century, Europeans were killing each other in 2 major world wars, right? And then they created a different story. It wasn't that all of a sudden they found some land and they said, oh, this is extra land. We can all divide it among ourselves. Now we will have enough. We don't have to kill each other anymore. That didn't happen. What happened, what they found, was a new story that they could all buy into and come and coalesce around, and they created peace. In fact, Europe has been one of the most peaceful continents until, of course, very recently, when Russia had other ideas in mind. Stories are very, very important because they shape us. And now we understand that they have to be neither true nor good to shape us and to shape life. But then, if we believe in these stories, like, what's truth? Right? Like, how do we know which story to buy into? And I don't know. But this is my litmus test. The one thing that I know is real is suffering. And nations don't suffer. People who are part of that nation suffer. When banks go under, banks don't suffer. People who lost money, they suffer. When a cow is separated from its calf at the day of birth, they both suffer. So, if it causes suffering, as far as I'm concerned, it's a bad story. That is a story that needs to be reimagined. And if it eliminates and ameliorates suffering, I'm liking it. I'm going to go with it. That's something I'm willing to put my weight behind. And I have plenty of it. Stories, they shape us. And if you want, use the same litmus test I do, which is suffering. We are fearful people. Sometimes changes happen globally that are so huge that we don't yet have time to realign or to catch our stories up to the changes. And that's when we go into fear and anxiety. And then when we go into fear and anxiety, we do strange things, right? We can become violent, unkind, terrible. We're capable of terrible things. Also, wonderful things. So, one of these times of big change. So let's think about this for a second. For the longest time, humanity pretty much lived the same way. You knew you had to work the earth to grow goods. Some people had to be carpenters. We needed some doctors, some engineers, needed bricklayers. You know, we pretty much we kind of knew that if we had children, in what direction they would go or would have to go to live well in society. And then, in the 1800s, the Industrial Revolution happened. And all of a sudden, life changed so fast, people couldn't keep up with it. And what happened was some people became displaced. Machines took over their jobs. So that created tremendous anxiety in human beings and fear. And so how did they respond to it? Well, let's look at it. The Pius IX, I think it was, the Pope at the time, and he came out with this decree. He said that the Roman Catholic Church is the one true religion, and furthermore, when the Pope decrees, you have to be in special session, but when he makes a decree, that is true, unquestionable, infallible. That's when the infallibility was established. It didn't exist before the Industrial Revolution. So what the Catholic Church is doing is doubling down on what they know, or on what they think they know, right? In Sudan, they introduced Sharia law, Islam. This is what we know, and we are going to double down on it. So there is the Industrial Revolution around us. We are turning to religion. We're going back to a time that was great. We want to make that time great again. In China, and you never heard about this, and you didn't know that this is. How many of you knew that the infallibility happened during the Industrial Revolution? You knew. One person in this whole room. How many of you knew that in Sudan, Sharia law was introduced during the Industrial Revolution? Nobody. How many of you know that in 1850, there was a guy in China, whose name I'm not even going to try to massacre. He wanted a government job. And to have a good, cushiony government job, he had to pass a test. He failed it 4 times. So imagine he's not feeling really good about himself, but then, he has this vision. And the vision is that he went and he was with God, and then God told him, "You're my son. In fact, you are Jesus' youngest son." And so he comes back and he starts telling people who are in the Industrial Revolution, they're very concerned, their lives are changing, the anxiety is high, fear everywhere. He says, "I am Jesus' youngest son, and I'm here to create peace on this earth. Are you with me?" Well, who wouldn't be with peace on earth, right? And this begun a tremendous revolution that it took 14 years to subdue. The most modest estimates say 20 million people were killed, 30 million people were displaced, and you never heard about it. You never heard about it because that wasn't and ended up not being the leading story of those times. The Industrial Revolution was. So, but this was the cause of the Industrial Revolution. The problem is, when you have a change like the Industrial Revolution, you go back to Islam. What did Muhammad know about the steam engine when he wrote his Quran? Nothing. People who wrote the Bible thousands of years ago, what did they know about the Industrial Revolution? Nothing. So what kind of answers can they really offer, or solutions can they truly offer to people who are undergoing such changes that no one has ever seen before? It's different. It's the steam engine. It's machines who take over from people. That's never happened before. So if you go back, you want to go back to a time and double down on those beliefs that really offer no solutions, then how is that going to serve anybody? Well, it's not, and it didn't. So these terrible revolutions happened, and they still couldn't stop the Industrial Revolution, right? These terrible upheavals happened in China, Sudan, and wherever. Now, would you say that today we're undergoing maybe something similar? We are again at a time when life is changing around us so fast that we just can't keep up with it. Once we got used to the Industrial Revolution, then we knew, okay, some of our children, they can be engineers, doctors, lawyers, mechanics, in agriculture. So we still needed carpenters, mathematicians, professors, so on. We kind of knew, had an idea, and we kind of had an idea how to advise our children what direction their lives should take. Do you know that today? Can you truly tell your child? Can you imagine what jobs will be available 50 years from now? You cannot. It's impossible. So we are going through a time of change again, and our stories are no match to these times. Because we don't understand, we've never seen this before. So, don't double down. Stay open. Pay attention, and allow yourself to engage your frontal cortex. This is not a time to become dogmatic, fanatic, and go back to a time that no longer exists and never, ever will again. It's a time of change. See, I got to it. And you're noticing it. You have eyes, you have ears. And it is causing insecurities, anxiety. And just know that we are all going through it together. We are in between stories. See, humanity does well when we land on the story that we can all kind of follow, that we all kind of can come around. Then we do well. But today, we are in between stories. It's the scariest time ever. And just by virtue of you being alive today, it is your job, it is my job, to come up with the new story. The new story that we can all buy into. And it is my hope and wish that the new story we come up with shall cause no suffering to humans, any sentient beings, the environment, that it shall eliminate suffering or strive to eliminate suffering, elevate people, elevate life, elevate kindness, compassion, and love. That is my hope and wish. And we all have a responsibility. And that is to elect leaders who know will carry this in their hearts. It is our responsibility to speak and live and model that sort of life that eliminates suffering, elevates kindness, compassion, love. And that is a change I can get behind. And I hope so can you. So it is. Thank you.
I am Beth Odekirk, member of your board. Reverend G, wow. Like, she finally found words to educate us on what we've been feeling this whole time. And just when you think you can't get some sort of new message or learning, coming right along to provide that clarity and how we can turn our discomfort into hope and promise for the future. Thank you so much. Please join me both at home and in the sanctuary for our board affirmation. I live in joyful expectation, knowing God is my source. And as the ushers come forward, please ready your tithes and love offerings, and together we'll say the offertory blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
So this song, much like to G's point, is from a time long past, but the message of unity and coming together is still timeless. And because this is more of a sing-along thing, Brian's going to help us out in the back. Brent's going to be up here too, and if you guys want to sing along as well, feel free. And I mean this with as much sincerity as respect. You've probably all heard it before. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Sometimes I'm right, and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. I am everyday people. There is a blue one that can't accept the green one, for living with a fat one who's trying to be a skinny one, and different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Doo, ooh, sha-sha. We gotta live together. I am no better, and neither are you. We are the same, whatever we do. You love me, you hate me, you know me, and then you can't figure out the bag I'm in. I am everyday people. There is a long hair that doesn't like the short hair, for being with the rich one that won't help the poor one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Doo, ooh, sha-sha. We gotta live together. There is a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one, and different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Doo, ooh, sha-sha. I am everyday people. I am everyday people.
Thank you, John. Blast from the past. We have our offerings, and let us pray. Loving Spirit, we thank you for all our blessings. We thank you for all who gave so generously today, as well as those who give electronically. We thank you for those watching and giving from home. Receive these offerings with our love and gratitude. We know that we already have all we need. May our gifts go forth and circulate throughout our world, bringing prosperity to all. And we ask for special prayers for those whose lives have been shaken by the recent shooting tragedies that are becoming far too common. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of those who lost their lives. Amen. And as we bring our service to a close, I invite you to please stand, and that includes you two at home, and join me in our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen. And the peace song, if you're comfortable, you may hold hands with your neighbor, or just place your hand on your heart and connect within.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk with my